This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Athletics.
Leaping at the ball, it's gone! Towering drive into center field by Rooker.
And 29 other MLB clubs.
A judgy blast. All right. Here comes the judge.
Swung on, hit high, hit deep to right, away back into the second deck.
Bobby Witt Jr. becomes the first shortstop in Major League history to have two 30-30 seasons.
Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 club.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to walk-off dingers to Hall of Fame talk. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of A's Cast Live. As we've got a little Cactus League action for you today. It's going to be the Athletics against the Halos. Are we in Mesa or are we in Tempe?
We are in Mesa today. Mesa. And then, obviously, at 2:40 local time, you got the spring breakout game in Peoria between the Athletics and the San Diego Padres.
Oh, beautiful Peoria. We escaped Peoria this year. That is the worst spot in Cactus League play. That is the home of the – no, I actually had to go there this year. We let off the very first game was in Peoria. For our Cactus League action, we played the Padres. So the Padres and the Mariners share Peoria. So just a little traveling advisory. If you're ever going to spring training, you do not need to go to Peoria. You can skip that one. If there's one you got to skip, if you're looking at your schedule and you're going to see the A's and you want to go to some of the road games, Peoria is the one that you can go, I don't need to go there. And it's deep. It's like 35 minutes from everywhere. 35, 40 minutes. Surprise is pretty deep where the Rangers and the Royals play, but Surprise is actually, it'll surprise you pretty nice. See what I did there?
Think of that like a 1.
All right. Cody, how are you this morning?
I'm great. I'm excited. I'm excited to see how this spring breakout game goes. There's a lot of big name A's prospects playing in this game.
Well, yeah, I was really fired up for it last year. It was on my birthday. I was going to call the game with Johnny Dasco, and it got rained out, and we didn't get to see it. But yeah, it's who are we playing against?
The Padres.
So it's going to be our top prospect name guys against the Padres guys, their top prospect, their top name guys. It's going on right now. I got a text from Chris Carey. His brother is calling the St. Louis Cardinals game. So it's really exciting because you get to at least where can we hear this game?
I think you can only listen to it on the Padres radio. So I think it's 97.3 in San Diego.
Can you listen to it on like the MLB app?
Yeah. I don't. Maybe if you pay for it, you might be. Yeah, you should. If you pay for it, you should be able to listen to it on the Padres radio feed. I think it's on TV down there too. That's what it says on the MLB.com app. But yeah, the game's at 2:40 today. A's and Padres spring breakout game. The big headliner for the A's is the guy we took in the first round last year, Nick Hertz, will be playing in the game. Colby Thomas, who we had on last week in Las Vegas at Las Vegas Ballpark, he'll be playing in the game. Luis Morales, probably our top pitching prospect. Gunnar Hoagland's scheduled to be in the game. Shotaro Morii, the two-way Japanese player that we just signed this offseason international signing period, 18-year-old player, will be also in there. I have the whole of Susak.
We don't need to go over them.
Yeah, Muncy, a lot of the big name guys.
All right, today, Joey Estes is going to be a big part of the rotation this year. He may or may not make the club out of spring. It's kind of hard to envision a pitching staff without Joey Estes. Of course, came over in the Matt Olson trade with the Atlanta Braves. He made 24 starts last year. 24. And showed he has one of the best arms we have in the organization. And let's not forget, he threw a Maddox last year. A Maddox. A complete game with under 100 pitches and a shutout. So this kid's got talent. He's young. He's a big part of our future going forward for many years. He will be here at 11:35. Bill Moriarty. So for everybody on Talk 650 KSTE and 95.5 KWNR FM, the Bull HD in Las Vegas, you're going to get to know Bill. Bill runs Athletics Farm. Bill is up to date on everything going on in our farm system. He puts a podcast together that you can hear on A's Cast. So when we're not on, you still listen to A's Cast, as we constantly have programming. It's where you get the pregame show, the game, and the postgame show. If you're not listening to it on 650 in Sacramento or 95.5 FM in Las Vegas, you can listen to it on A's Cast, which a lot of people are listening right now. And we run programming 24/7, 365. Bill always gives us a podcast. He's interviewing all the coaches and the people in our front office about minor leagues, talking to minor league players. He does a great job. Well, you're going to hear him today at noon. Mason Miller, the all-star closer, here at 12:35. And we have a special guest today. He is one of our great callers on our post-game show. He is a legend. George from San Francisco, as everybody knows, is Japanese. George loves Japanese baseball, and he loves A's baseball. George will be calling us from Japan, from the land of the rising sun. We'll be talking about a game in the Valley of the Sun, and we're going to go across the Pacific Ocean all the way to Japan, the land of the rising sun. So from the Valley of the Sun to the land of the rising of the sun. So I'm looking forward to that. George is there. We've got Cubs. We got Dodgers. I've been very fortunate to go with the Athletics to Japan twice. It is a major, major deal when you're over there. And probably this is probably, and Major League Baseball players have been playing in Japan going all the way back to Babe Ruth. They did tours over there, right? This might be, since Babe Ruth, the biggest we have ever seen Major League Baseball over in Japan. You talk about how our game is so international, with the Dodgers going there with these Japanese stars, and they're not playing for a Japanese team. They're playing for the Los Angeles Dodgers. It is a major, major deal. And every time that I've gone over there, we've played the Seattle Mariners. Last time we were there, it was Ichiro's last games. And I will never forget just all the festivities and what it was like when Ichiro was essentially going to play in these two games, going to retire. So after the second game, his career was over. The crowd at the Tokyo Dome did not leave. And I was doing the post-game show, just talking to myself, because obviously we couldn't take phone calls, and I can't remember. It was early in the morning back here in Northern California. And we waited and we waited. We didn't realize that they were having a ceremony, and they had waited because Ichiro and Bob Melvin are very close friends, and both their wives are very close. So Bob had to get from the A's clubhouse all the way over to the ceremony. They have the ceremony. We waited. Then finally, Ichiro, King Griffey Jr. was in the dugout. And Ichiro and him had a moment. And then Ichiro came out, and it was like something I had never seen before. You know, we have seen players who are loved by a city. You can name, whether it was Cal Ripken Jr. retiring, or Derek Jeter, or Tony Gwynn, or George Brett, guys who are really synonymous, where they played their entire career in one place. Mike Schmidt in Philly. You see that kind of love from the city. But this was different. This was a country. And Ichiro came out, and no one had left. It was like, you know how you watch the Olympics and the flash bulbs in the stadium? That's what it was like. And he did the lap a couple times around the stadium multiple times. And it was like, and I'm watching this just going, this is amazing. The love for this guy is unreal. They love it. It's like those old videos of watching people freak out when Elvis or the Beatles. Like, we look at that and we think, man, people really acted like that. But yeah, that's how they acted. It was like Elvis Presley or the Beatles. That's how big Ichiro is back there. So, and now he's old, he's retiring, it's the end, and you're honoring a great countryman. Well, this is a different deal. This is guys in their prime. These are your star Japanese players playing for an American team, the prominent American team. And it's going to be crazy over there. And it's the Cubs too, so it's also another, the Cubs are the big team in the Midwest of our country. So Cubs, Dodgers, this series, if you don't know, just want to lay it out there. It's really important. And there's going to be, this country's going to be freaking out seeing Japanese players when this series starts. Wow. When do they start? Do they start tonight?
No, I think it's Tuesday is when the first game of the regular season starts. I think it's Tuesday and Wednesday when the games are Cubs, Dodgers. There's, if I remember.
Wow, they're over there early, so they must be playing the Japanese.
Yeah.
Teams,
I think the Cubs are playing.
Oh my God, when they're playing the and Shota Imanaga is going for, and he's playing for the Cubs too, also Japanese. So you got Japanese. It was always a big deal. I mean, Kurt Suzuki was a big deal. Kurt Suzuki's Japanese. He was our catcher. This was 2012, and that was a big deal. But Kurt Suzuki's from Southern California, went to Cal State Fullerton. I mean,
you're also forgetting.
And it's not Shohei Ohtani. It's Kurt Suzuki.
You got 3 Japanese pitchers. You got Shohei, who's only going to be DHing. Then you also have Seiya Suzuki, who plays in the outfield for the Cubs. So you have 5 Japanese players.
It's huge.
That are prominent playing in this series. It's great for the country of Japan.
This is going to be huge. Can't wait to. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to wake up and watch it in the middle of the night, but I can't wait to see all the highlights.
I'm going to pull it up. I think it's like Tuesday at like 3 a.m. Is the first game on Tuesday.
I mean, for me, I'd have to stay up.
3:10 in the morning, Cubs, Dodgers, Yamamoto versus Imanaga, and then Wednesday, 3:10, Roki Sasaki versus Justin Steele.
I've got a better chance of just not going to sleep and watching it than waking up at 3:10 in the morning. That is just not.
The only reason I remember the ones in 2019 is because I was still producing morning radio and I was there when the game was going on. And plus, I wanted to see Ichiro and the whole.
Well, then you would have been listening to me as I was going into your guys' show. Now, the one, if there is some news from this series, and I'm happy to hear this. If you haven't been following, everything's fine with Shohei Ohtani from a pitching standpoint and his recovery, but he's probably doing the smartest thing and something that we haven't seen in baseball. Shohei Ohtani's a big deal. Shohei Ohtani is a global superstar. We haven't had a global superstar. I mean, Ichiro was a big deal, but he's not as big as Shohei Ohtani.
No, I agree with that.
And I'm trying to think from a global superstar standpoint. I mean, obviously the NBA with the relationship with China has changed things for the NBA. Jordan was a global superstar. Obviously, the Olympic Games in 92, the Dream Team, Barcelona. Tiger Woods, Muhammad Ali, guys that can play globally, perform globally. Maybe Wayne Gretzky. I mean, there are not a lot of athletes who are really global superstars. Usain Bolt. I mean, but that's Olympians. You're performing in different Olympics. When you're like a global superstar, Shohei Ohtani right now.
Yeah, I'd say it's mainly a lot of NBA guys, but yeah, Shohei is the baseball guy.
Shohei Ohtani is a global superstar. And we've talked about how it's so important that he continues to dominate as an offensive player. But they signed him to a $700 million contract as a two-way guy because he has the ability, when healthy, to be absolutely dominant as a pitcher. But the question is, we just saw him go 50-50. We play that clip in the open, 50-50. 50 home runs, 50 stolen bases, never been done before. He did it last year. You're like, this is crazy. And you start wondering, like, 60-60 possible with this guy? I mean, he's a human highlight reel.
I think he 54 homers, 59 steals last year. I mean, it's incredible.
He's got talent. And remember, the scouts should be fired. They all should. I mean, I'm not calling it. It's kind of a joke. It's shtick. But yeah, the scouts that went over there and said, we really think he can be a frontline ace pitcher, probably not going to be able to hit in the big leagues. What were you smoking over there or drinking?
Or both.
I mean, seriously, what were you scouting when you said Shohei Ohtani probably won't be able to hit in the big leagues? Huh? He's one of the greatest offensive forces we've ever seen in the game. So the news out of Japan is that he's starting to scale back his throwing. And I saw that, and you know what? I'm happy. And I'm happy for him that he understands his value right now to our game. I'm just not talking about the Dodgers, to our game as somebody who's an incredibly gifted offensive player. And the minute he starts pitching again, we'll get less of that. And I don't want to see that. Not in his prime. This is his prime. Let's see how great you can be. I mean, a 60-60 season, 60 home runs, 60 stolen bases, yeah, or another 50-50. The minute he starts pitching, we don't get to see that anymore. That's gone. Because we saw it with the Angels, speaking of who we're playing today, when he played for the Angels and they said, all right, big boy, let her rip. He's going to pitch and hit. His body started, I mean, it's too hard. He started having leg problems. You know, it's just your body can't handle that. A sport that's played every day like baseball, you're having to manage your swing and your arm and pitching and everything. The body just couldn't take it. So I rather see Shohei Ohtani not pitch. And if he's going to pitch, we've talked about it here, make him a reliever. Let him come in for one inning, blow everybody away. But the minute he goes back to starting, which I feel like he's a ticking time bomb, he's had 2 injuries now. You just start to go, man, do I really want to take away his offense so I can watch him pitch 5 innings every 6 days? No, I don't. I want to see him. I want to see him let it loose. I mean, I want to see him from a standpoint of hitting. I want to see him let it go, play every day. And if you're going to start pitching him again, make him a reliever. I get it. You got a $700 million investment, but that doesn't seem as big now that Juan Soto has signed his deal, and Juan Soto eventually will be a DH anyway because he stinks in the outfield no matter what people try and sell you.
And he can't run, so he doesn't steal bases.
Yeah.
So what Ohtani does, just from the hitting standpoint, not if he's hitting home runs, he usually hits for average. He gets on base, and he steals bases. Soto does all that too, except for stealing bases. He's not a very good base runner.
But the point is, there could have been the pressure of, hey man, we're paying you $700 million. You need to get on that mound. I think this takes a little of the pressure off the mound thing when you go, well, Soto signed for more money, and obviously he doesn't pitch. So that leads us to Shotaro Morii, our two-way player that we signed. This kid, and the other thing about the Japanese players, a lot of them, they got unbelievable personalities. Yamamoto is like this fashionista guy that the right-handed pitcher for the Dodgers that a lot of people thought that's why he was going to sign with the Yankees. Like, he's into fashion. I mean, these guys grow up and they envision themselves as stars. They want to be stars. They want the limelight, right? They put it out there into the universe when they were kids and they were coming up going, I want to go to America and I want to be a star. How many of the guys that we got in baseball, they just want to get paid. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want to promote anything. They don't want to promote their organization. They don't want to promote the sport. They just want to show up, get paid.
I mean, look no further than the team we're playing today in spring training. Mike Trout doesn't put himself out there that much. That was a big knock on him forever.
Doesn't want to do it. Doesn't want. These Japanese players, they're all in. I'm not saying that Ohtani's like on his own deal, but the rest of them, and actually Ichiro was kind of he was on his own deal too. But like these guys coming over now, like Eamon Yaga, he's hilarious.
Mike,
Yamamoto wants to be like these guys are coming over going, I dreamt of being a star in America. They're all in.
Seiya Suzuki has a really good personality too.
And actually, since Ohtani has gone to the Dodgers, he's now doing way more.
Well, yeah, I think he realized that he has to put himself out there more playing in Los Angeles and not in Orange County with the Angels, where he never spoke to the media. That was always a big knock. He never wanted to speak to the media, and there was always a million people between American journalists and Japanese journalists who wanted to talk to him. Now he kind of has to, and being the face of the organization in LA.
I'll give Hideki Matsui, former World Series champion, World Series MVP with the Yankees. Then he came to the A's. He was the most professional guy I've ever seen in my career. I've never seen anybody who was more generous, humble, and more generous, so generous with his time that on even days he didn't play, he would come out and meet with the Japanese media. I mean, every day. I mean, he was a pro's pro.
What's nice about him too is he was older when he came over from Japan, where a lot of these guys like Ohtani, Yamamoto, Roki Sasaki, they're all on the younger side. Where what was Matsui, like 28, 29 when he came?
And he was in New York, right? Like how Ohtani was kind of hiding in Anaheim. Yeah. He was in New York, so by the time he got to us, I mean, there were so many people following him. We had so much Japanese media, and man, he was a pro's pro. But I love how our Japanese two-way player, he's a young kid. He quote, and you can read this, athletics.com. Martin Gallegos put this out yesterday. Quote, I want to be like DeGrom as a pitcher and Ellie De La Cruz as a batter. The main goal is to become a player like them. Right? He's putting it out there. I love it. Why not? He's got great personality. We inked him to about just a little over 1.5 million. And let's see what he can become. Now, I would say to him, I'd pull him aside and go, DeGrom can't stay healthy, and Ellie De La Cruz has a problem making contact.
Don't let facts get in the way of a good story.
Okay, all right. That's journalism 101. Don't let facts get in the way of a good story.
Ellie hits home runs and steals bases.
Ellie De La Cruz is literally the most
I don't care if he can't play defense.
Freakish athlete you've ever seen. Guy scores from second base. He takes like 10 steps. Like, it's amazing. Like, he's a StatCast dream. I mean, the stuff that Ellie De La Cruz of the Cincinnati Reds does, how fast he is from home to third, second to home, it's like insane because he's so tall. He eats up ground so fast. He's a freak. But sometimes he has a problem putting the bat on the ball. But I dig it. This kid wants to be great. That's what I want. When we see this, it's not a futures game, it's a spring breakout game, but these future games, this is what you want, right? You want these guys to be, I want to be great. I want to be the best player in the league. I want to be one of the best. And the one thing that Shohei Ohtani has brought to our sport is changing the mindset that, hey, the guy can really pitch, the guy can really hit, let's sign him, and then we'll make him one or the other. And then if he fails, then we can have him do something else. Our manager, Mark Kotsay, if you don't know, is arguably the greatest college baseball player of all time. National champion at Cal State Fullerton, won the Heisman Trophy of college baseball, which is called the Golden Spikes Award. And he was an all-around incredible player at Fullerton. He was just mashed. Home runs, average, drove in runs. If you went to his metrics, his OPS was through the roof. He was incredible, and he played center field, a premium defensive position. And then when Fullerton had the lead, he'd come in and blow you away as a left-handed closer. Mark Kotsay was dominant, and I know because I played against him. San Jose State, we were the last team to beat Cal State Fullerton before they won the national title. We all played in the Big West then, which was us, Fullerton, Long Beach, Fresno, UNLV, Santa Barbara, Pacific. Who else was in our conference? You get the gist of it. It was a long time ago. So 1995, we go down there. Mark Langston, San Jose State, probably our greatest player to ever play at San Jose State, was an Angel at the time. They were that was part of, remember, they canceled the World Series, so that drifted into 95. And Mark Langston, so Fullerton came out and whooped us on Friday and Saturday down at their place. They're I don't even know where they play now, but they used to play on campus at Kevin Costner Field, because Costner was like a, I don't know, backup catcher or something there. Costner had donated a ton of money, so it was Kevin Costner Field, cool scoreboard and everything. They went out and drilled us on Friday and Saturday night. And then on Sunday, Mark Langston came, threw his BP, gave us a pep talk, and we went out and beat them. They were number 1 in the country. They didn't lose again. They swept everybody in conference, swept the regionals, super regionals, and swept the World Series, never lost again. They're one of the greatest baseball teams, college baseball teams of all time. The Augie Garrido, the head coach then he'd Bolton go to Texas. But that was led by Mark Kotsay. So what would have been like, Mark Kotsay was drafted by the then Florida Marlins. What was he, like 8th or 9th or something like that? 13th? Or,
Yeah. I'd have to go and look.
So would the Marlins been different? Hold that thought. Look at Mark Kotsay's career is different. That and much more right here on A's Cast Live.
The A's YouTube page is your go-to destination for A's video content. Get access to great highlights, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, classic games, A's Cast Live, and more. Visit youtube.com/athletics.
A's starting pitcher Luis Severino joined Towny on A's Cast Live in Mesa and discussed his role as a veteran leader in the clubhouse.
For me, just learning from the guys that like when I was younger, Cesar Sabatia, Ivan Nova, Michael Pineda, Playboy Aero. So those guys teach me how it was, how it is to be in the big league. So I would try to do the same thing with those guys, if they need me. When my first year, I was trying to impress everybody, so right now it's just, trying to get ready for the season. So if I need to talk to those guys and let them know, you don't have to be 100% every time. You don't have to go 100% every time, When we need you to go 100% up there and pitch, that's the day you want to compete. So don't go out there and go crazy and try to get hurt and taking ground balls or trying to catch a fly ball that you don't need to. So just to, let them know what I learned while I was younger.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/AceCast. The time is now. Pitchers and catchers have officially reported to Arizona. Grab your sunglasses, A's gear, and get ready for some fun in the sun as the Athletics get ready for the 2025 season. Now's the time to make plans to catch us in Mesa, Arizona, and enjoy the sunshine of your family and friends. Grab your tickets early for the best seats at the lowest prices as your green and gold take on the Giants, Padres, Dodgers, Angels, and more at Hohokam Stadium. Don't wait. Get your tickets at athletics.com/spring. That's athletics.com/spring. A's All-Star Mason Miller joined Towny on A's Cast Live to talk about the responsibility getting the final 3 outs in a game.
Exciting. The time of game, everything that's went into it is building to that point. And usually when I'm in there, it's an opportunity for us to win.
Yeah.
So just pitching with that energy, pitching with that mentality that I just got to get 3 outs. It doesn't have to be pretty. I want it to be pretty, but it doesn't have to be. It's just like just get 3 outs, hold the lead, get the guys in the locker room, and celebrate a win. So I love it, and I feel like I just embrace it. And take the role for what it is.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/acecast.
Streaming from the studio, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
All righty. So Mark Kotsay was the 9th overall pick in the draft by the Florida Marlins. In what year?
That would be the 1996 MLB June Amateur Draft.
Now, the great thing for Mark Kotsay's career, which we have learned, was the fact that the manager at the time was Jim Leland, now Hall of Famer, and Jim Leland took him to the track to teach him how to bet ponies.
Always a great story.
So can you imagine you're a hot shot first round draft pick and you're going to the racetrack. I can't remember what the track's name is, but you're going to bet horses and smoke lung darts with Jim Leland.
I mean, you end up asking Leland about that when we interviewed him in the Trails one day, right?
Okay. You can take him over there.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, you'll go into the manager's office because we have the Mark Kotsay show right here on A's Cast exclusively, and there'll be horse racing on.
That's true. Yeah,
he learned that from Jim Leland,
yes.
Smoking Jim. I'm glad he didn't take up the smoking cigarettes like Jim Leland. By the way, Folsom Lake Ford is going to be proudly announced. I hadn't mentioned this. Got the deal done. Folsom Lake Ford will be the sponsor of the Mark Kotsay show this year. How about that?
I wish I had the applause soundtrack we could play, but
we're doing a partnership with Folsom Lake Ford. We're very proud of that. So Kotsay, his career could have been different, right? Obviously, 17 years in the big leagues, it worked out well for him, and now he's a manager of a big league team. But, Kotsay threw hard, especially then for a left-handed pitcher. I mean, what could have been for Mark Kotsay when you start talking about his contract and what he could have been as a guy that could play outfield, swing it, and come in and throw 96, 97 and get people out, whether it was setup guy or closer. I don't know. Could have been really good. Financially, really good for him. I just like the idea that Morii, the kid we signed out of Japan, we're looking at it. Dan Feinstein talked about it. Our assistant general manager who handles all the international scouting, you're going to wait and see. Let the kid progress. So this is what you're going to see in this spring breakout game. Let this kid progress and see what he ends up being better at. If he's great at both, perfect. If he's not, maybe he's a better pitcher. Maybe he's a better hitter. Let's just see. But give him that option. I think the guy out of Texas was at Brooks Kieschnick.
Yep.
Was great at doing both. Then he went to the Cubs, and they problem is like you kind of dabble. You let him do both. Let him do both. Find out find out. Maybe he's, you gotta let him, because I think with Brooks they did one or the other, and then didn't work out so well with one. Then he went back to the other. Lucas Ursig, who we traded last year to Kansas City. Love him, kid out of San Jose. Got to AAA as a hitter and then realized this isn't going to work. And then he blew gas, so they put him back on the mound, and now he's established himself and his career, and he's going to be pitching out of the back of the bullpen for a very good Royals team this year and had success last year and had success for us. That is not where I want to go with a player like this. I want to give this kid a chance to do both.
Plus, he's only 18.
Let's see what he's got. Right? Allow him to pitch, allow him to hit. You have to. We haven't really figured out yet, especially with like Ohtani. We haven't really figured out how much does he need to hit and how much does he need to hit before the body breaks down. That's going to be an individual thing. But man, if it ever is to work, like if we get to this becomes more normal. I mean, it's one roster spot, and you got a guy that can do both. I mean, just in theory, how valuable this can be if somebody is able to actually really pull it off. Probably from an arm standpoint, maybe a guy up there not trying to blow 100 miles an hour every single time where he's blowing out his arm every couple, maybe will work a little more. I don't know how hard. This kid doesn't throw that hard. But that's kind of the thing is when you're up there huffing and puffing, and then after you do that as a pitcher, then you go to hit, maybe that's a problem with Ohtani. Like if you're a guy up there who's slicing and dicing as a pitcher and you're not living at that max velocity and putting that much stress on your body, maybe you could make that work. I don't know. It's worth trying. It's worth seeing. It's worth trying. And maybe Ohtani, the point is, has paved that path that we're now really going to give people an opportunity to do it. And you find out what the kid is best at. And you're not going to wait for him to fail at one. Because, like, if you say, nope, you're going to hit. And you waste X amount of years just hitting. And then you go, now you're going to pitch. Well, you stunted the growth as the pitcher. This way, you're never stunning the growth. You're allowing him to do both. The data doesn't lie, right? We'll find out which is better. And then you don't stunt the growth, and then away you go. And if he's truly an all-time talent like Ohtani, then you start to figure out how can we utilize, as the A's, how can you nurture this, and then how can you help him progress and help us at the big league level? Fascinating.
Yeah, no, and I'm excited to see what he could do because I did the Zoom call that, Dan Feinstein and Shotaro did when he first signed at the international signing period. And you were talking about his personality. He has a good personality. He speaks some English. He's 18 years old. I mean, he could have come, there was a kid, I forget his name. He just came over and he's actually playing at Stanford as a power hitting. I think he plays first base.
Yes, he's a big kid. Yeah.
He was hitting really well like the first couple of weeks of the season for Stanford. He could have come over and played college baseball probably, but he chose to come over, forego playing professional baseball in Japan, and he wanted to sign with the A's, and I'm glad to see he's here. But, yeah, good personality. He's young. Let's see what we can do both ways because if you can develop both and he could do it for years, that's going to be a very valuable asset for the team.
And I know this is not super exciting, but here's the reality. During the last WBC, you had over 70% of all the televisions in Japan were watching Team Japan play in multiple games, including the championship against the U.S. You want to talk about? I mean, I'm short on that. I'm just saying. I think it was like close to 80%, but I'm just going to say 70 to guard the facts here. I believe it was over 70% of all televisions were tuned into this game. And articles have already come out about there's now a company, it's like a brewing company, and they're a main sake distributor who is now signed with the Dodgers. So remember when I told you Dodgers are over there doing business? I wasn't lying. They just did this deal that it's a brewing company. It's a major brewing company in Japan. They're like a major sake distributor. They just did that deal. Having these Japanese players is a cash cow. It opens up international business. Learn from the NBA. The NBA has been doing this for years. Now, not exactly the same way, just over in China, they love basketball. They're doing a ton of business in China. Well, if the way to get into the Japanese market is having Japanese players, and these guys, as they won the WBC, Shohei Ohtani striking out Mike Trout. I mean, why would you not want to sign these players and bring them over? They can flat out play. We should start having more Japanese players. The pipeline is there. Start making this thing happen because they're dynamic and they equal more money for the sport. I'm all in. What do you got? What you bringing me Stanford stuff?
The kid from Stanford is Rentaro Sasaki. He's the first baseman, 6 foot, 275. He's hitting 317.
Whoa.
This is through March 9th, so I don't know if the stats were updated, but he's hitting 317, no homers, 14 RBIs in 15 games played.
What was that weight?
It's according to Stanford's bio page, he's 275.
275 at 6 feet?
As a freshman, yeah.
275?
Yep.
That
see this.
You just roll over that like that's not a big deal. 6 feet, 275.
I mean, it's big.
I'm not looking for him to play nose guard.
He's the first. We've moved past.
He's 18.
Yep, freshman,
and he's 275.
Yeah, I don't know. I got to see him in person. If it's,
I've seen highlights. I mean, he looked like a big dude, but I didn't know 275. That is. I guess we have to
go see him play. So how big he really is.
No,
okay, so their website says 275. Baseball Reference says 230.
Okay, thank God. I'm like, whoa, 275.
I don't know. Am I going to believe Baseball Reference or Stanford's site?
Do you know how big 275 is on someone who's 6 feet?
Yeah, because I was that weight before.
You were 275?
I was actually 285.
Yeah, it's huge. No offense. That's big.
It is.
I mean, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is going, and you thought I was big.
Yeah, what is
Pablo Sandoval, who's in camp with the Giants right
Correct.
now, is like, hey, you guys are ripping me about beating up the spread after every single game. This gets 275.
According to Baseball Reference, Vlad Guerrero Jr. is 6'2", 245.
6'2", 245 is like an old school Matt Millen linebacker.
I would say I think of a linebacker.
Yeah, he's like a linebacker. He's a run-stuffing linebacker. Linebackers can be about that, or around 235 now. You got to be able to cover more. Russian cover league, as they say in the NFL. But 245, that's it. That's 30 more plus pounds.
I don't know why Stanford's doing him like that. I don't know who to believe. I don't know anyone well enough around the Stanford program right now to tell me what the size of him really is. But on their website, if you go to his name, it says 6 feet, 275, and he's a freshman first baseman.
All right, getting back to the A's and the rotation. I don't know exactly how it's going to work out. I just have a hard time thinking that Joey Estes is not going to be in the rotation. 25 games last year, 24 starts at the age of 22. He was the name that no one cared about in the Matt Olson trade. No one. Christian Pache, Shea Langoliers. He was just the young kid that, he was the fourth part of this trade. And he is more than that. He when you talk about somebody who wants to be great and it's got some moxie, it's got talent, I am a big believer in Joey Estes long term. Of this kid, when you say, okay, at some point, Severino, 5 years from now, like in Las Vegas, this could be your opening day starter for X amount of years. That's how good this kid can be. You got a problem with that?
Not at all. I love his upside. I love the moxie he has in the mound, a good personality. He's kind of shy, but he's 22, 23 years old.
He's grown up in front of us with our interviews.
Yeah.
He's definitely changed.
Plus, he won me over when he had a Maddox last year.
I mean, this is the reason why when you're having rough seasons like the A's have had, you stick kids out there. You let them learn. We were just talking about the other day, speaking of Maddox. Maddox struggled with the Cubs. They sent him down, brought him back, and he never went back again. He ended up having a decent little career, Greg Maddox.
He only won 355 games.
I mean, he had a nice little career.
I would put him in the back end of my rotation of my all-time pitching rotation.
You're saying Maddox could make your rotation all time?
He might be a swing guy in the bullpen.
But Joey Estes is the future of the A's pitching staff. I think he's going to win the 5 spot, and you can put Mitch Spence, who also had 24 starts just like Estes. You can put him in the bullpen. You're going to need them all. And Mitch Spence had such great success last year coming out of the bullpen. But, I mean, they could flip-flop. Spence could be the number 5 guy, and Estes could come out of the bullpen. I don't know how Joey Estes goes back to Las Vegas.
And the reason why I wanted to play him today because he's pitching today, which could be one of his last starts in spring training before the rosters get trimmed down and we get ready to go play our first game in Seattle in less than 2 weeks.
The kid's got it. He's got it. He's got an it factor to him. And he's growing up in front of our eyes. And years from now, I'm telling you, he could be the opening day guy. in Las Vegas on the Strip, and he could be a big deal. And a lot of faith in him. And to think at 22 years old, got 127 and 2/3 innings in. And as you said, pitch to Maddox, it's a big deal. Here is our spring training conversation with the right-hander.
I'm excited.
I remember last year when we were talking about things that you're working on and whether you'd make the big club. Now you're going to be in the starting rotation. What was the mindset like for you this offseason and heading here to spring training?
Yeah, it was just one of those things. Just stick to the process, control what I can control, and just go into my offseason with confidence and just work on my pitches, just try to master them and to my best of ability of within the time that we have, and just kind of come here and be ready just to compete.
It was fascinating last year at this time talking about the different pitches you were working on. Mm-hmm. I remember when we were talking about your slider, we were talking about your sweeper, but you couldn't throw your sweeper as much because of an injury. So where are we now with your pitches and pitch design this offseason? Fully healthy, working on everything?
Yeah, no, everything. This was a great offseason, probably one of my best ones. I got my sweeper, my slider. I was working on my changeup a lot this offseason. That's really what I focused on, my changeup. Got a whole new grip for that. But my pitches are pretty much solidified. I mean, I'm always growing and making my pitches better, but as of right now, my arsenal is pretty set.
So your arsenal is what it is, but so much of being at this level, it's the mental side of the game. And as you grow, as you get older and you mature in this game, so just talk about how different life is for you since you first came up with you got drafted by the Braves to where you are now.
Yeah, it's, being with the Braves and coming here, they're two different organizations, but the atmosphere here and the people here in this organization are just amazing. You learn a lot. Not saying you don't with the Braves, but it's just the people here it's different here, and that alone you learn a lot. And just the mental side of things, coming into here, just being confident in what I do. I've been there. I was there. I was there for a good amount of time, and just running with that, and just being confident in what I do, and just being confident in getting outs, and just going up there and just being myself, pretty much. And I think I got that I got that down pretty good right now, and just being me.
Yeah, I remember last year the Maddox, and people have you heard of Greg Maddox? I'm like, I was in the Braves organization. I've heard of Greg Maddox. Yeah, I've heard of the guy. Yeah. When you start thinking about where this team is, talk about the confidence inside the clubhouse, especially with the pitchers and the rotation going forward this year.
Yeah, I mean, this is doesn't really get much better than this from where I've been. All the teams that I've been on every year, this has been by far the most competitive and the best year yet. Just talent-wise in the room, and just everybody. We're in a really good spot this year, and everyone in the clubhouse is excited to just get going. And Kotsay preaches just to go out there and just win one game at a time. And we're going to be really good this year, and we're going to shock a lot of people. And we already did last year, and we're just going to roll with what we did in the second half last year, and bring that into this spring training and get off to a hard start.
Joey Estes with us here on A's Cast, A's starting pitcher. And when you start looking at the whole situation with Mark Kotsay, you guys did know the contract extension, and that got announced. The owner comes in, the owner talks about it, the owner addresses it, tells you guys about it. He's your leader. What did that mean to all of you guys to know that Mark Kotsay has that kind of security?
Yeah, it's awesome. That's why we were all in there, supporting him. And it's just to play behind, to play for a guy like that. There's only one, Mark Kotsay, and he's the man, and he's the best leader in the game. And I love playing for him, and I love to just go out there and work for him. And he just knows what he's talking about, and he just makes you feel comfortable, and he's going to lead us to a World Series, I think.
Well, I'll tell you what, we have big expectations for you, but I think you have even bigger expectations from yourself. And one of the things that I've always respected, you don't run away from that. You let people know that you expect big things. So when you thought about coming here to Mesa, Arizona for spring training, what are some of the goals, or what do you expect this season?
Yeah, I just control what I can control. I can't really do anything else other than that. I'm just going to go out there and pitch my game, not try to be anyone different, and just the expectations are high for myself. You know, I expect to make this team. I expect to be in you know, the starting lineup. You know, I expect starting rotation. I mean, and
if you're the starting lineup
yeah,
too, that'd be
yeah,
amazing.
Yeah.
Joey Estes, two-way player here. We've just broken on it. You're the new Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I mean, I that's just my expectations
Yeah.
for myself, and you know, I can only control what I can control, and I'm just gonna go out there and compete. You know, I'm just gonna give everything I got, and yeah.
Well, we've said for a long time, the mindset of an ace, you got to have it. You've got to believe you can be that guy.
Yeah.
And let's just end on this. That's something you really believe you can be.
Yeah, absolutely. We should all believe that. You know, every one of us in the clubhouse right now, all the starting pitchers, we all have a great connection, and you know, it's going to be a great thing. We're all excited, and we're all looking forward to it, and we got a great group of guys in there.
Well, the future's really bright for you, and we always appreciate the time. We really look forward to watching your journey and watch you continue to grow in your journey, because it's going to be a fantastic ride. Stay healthy, and we'll see you in Sacramento.
Thank you, yes, sir.
Yeah, it was such a tough year for him too, losing his brother-in-law, and how tough that was for the family, and he pitched through that. But you look at the makeup. I mean, the hair. The lettuce, as Dennis Eckersley would say, the hair on the kid. Now, if you're listening and you're not watching, like on 650 KSTE or 95.5 KWNR in Vegas, the hair and the curls are phenomenal. He's got star written all over him.
I mean, we walked back into the studio and I said, he has good lettuce.
Oh, the hair, the flowing hair.
See, where we knocked Brandon Crawford for his hair, we love Joey Estes' hair. It looks better.
Brandon Crawford's hair, former Giant, it was always wet.
Didn't matter what he was doing.
Right? No matter what, it didn't matter. It could be freezing cold and windy in San Francisco, or it could be hot. It didn't matter. It always looked wet. He's a total product. Joey Estes is not a product guy. Do I want my Major League Baseball players worrying about their hair product when they're out on the field? Like Dennis Eckersley had flow, but it wasn't product.
Yeah, Raleigh had flow.
Raleigh,
we're going.
Everybody in the 70s had fro,
and you know,
I said flow or a fro.
Yeah,
Oscar Gamble back in the day, like Dr. J, beautiful.
Yeah, then you look now, like there are some guys that have good, like Bryce Harper has good hair. Like there's guys in Major League Baseball now that have good hair. Matt Olson, he takes his hat off. It doesn't matter if he has a hat on or hat off. His hair never changes. I'll give Matt Olson credit for that. He has his hair always looks good. It doesn't matter what he's doing. I was always jealous of him for that. But yeah, Joey Estes, think you can make the argument, maybe best flow on the team. I mean, I'm sure Lawrence Butler will want to make an argument for that. And I'm trying to think who else has good hair on the team. Everyone else's hair is really kind of short. Yeah, I'd probably go with those two guys. If I had to pick guys with good hair.
Yeah, if you got the flow going though, what's the lefty for a Strom? The lefty for
Oh
Philly?
yeah, Matt Strom. Yeah.
Oh, it's the worst.
Oh, it's too long.
That's awful.
Like,
some guys are like, you got to clean that up, buddy.
Like DeGrom is letting his hair grow back again, and that's when he was back at his peak as a pitcher, is when he had the long hair. Yeah, there are some guys that like the big move for me when I was in high school is I wanted to look like Johnny Damon. When Damon had the long hair and the big beard, I was like a freshman in junior. I was a freshman in high school playing in the outfield. And I was like, I would look like Johnny Damon. It took me 3 years, but I finally looked like Johnny Damon when I was a senior in high school. Then
the Yankees, facial hair, long hair. We're in business, baby. All those years. I did always like how the Yankees had. This is. We look a certain way. We're the Yankees. I hate the Yankees, but I always kind of like that. You're different from everybody else.
Yeah, I mean they like what you do, the mustaches. So obviously, like Giambi had a mustache. And
Don Mattingly that was always the Mattingly thing.
Nestor Cortez had.
What was the thing about Matt? No. It was Lou Piniella. Lou Piniella said something about Jesus had a beard. And then George Steinbrenner was hilarious. Said something like, well, on that pond, if you can walk across it like Jesus, then you can have a beard.
See if it comes
That's
up.
in the 70s.
I'd have to do a quicker Google search. But yeah, it's I remember seeing that. I can't remember. I think it was
right there. You're missing it. Why Jesus Christ? right here.
I know, but I don't want to search through a whole article looking for it.
It's right there, right in front of you.
Let's see. Hold on. I'm going to try to find the
You'll get to know if you're new to this show that anything we talk about, Cody feels he has to research. Everything.
Yeah, Jesus had a long hair and a beard. Why can't we have beards and long hair? Said Lou Piniella.
All right. George Steinbrenner's retort.
It's loading.
Let's pause for station identification right here on A's Cast.
You see that pond? Walk across that pond, and you can have a beard and long hair. That's what Steinbrenner. So you're right. Yeah.
Oh, hey, Lou. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Walk across that. You're going to do whatever you want.
But yeah, they changed it this year. First year, they amended the facial hair policy. I don't know a player that. I mean, is that going to help if they sign Lance Lynn? He can have his beard. Like, is that what I mean? It's been so long since we've seen a Yankee player with facial hair. I know Devin Williams had.
They've never had facial hair.
I know, but like, there's so many guys that left with facial hair, and they went there, and you're like, well, he looks so different. Like Lou Trevino, when Trevino got traded to the Yankees, he had to shave off his beard, and he tried to go with the mustache. And I was like, that's fine. But you players, you're so used to looking a different way than playing for the Yankees. They look totally different. Garrett Cole couldn't have the long hair anymore.
He got rid of his flow.
Yeah.
And how'd that work for him?
Tommy John. A couple years later.
All right. We're going to get to Bill Moriarty coming up here, talking about today's spring breakout game. How did the top prospects do in this spring so far? And also George from San Francisco is calling from Japan. We have boots on the ground and all-star Mason Miller.
Towny.
All come play it again.
Towny.
Wait, some of you have no idea.
Towny.
Some of you have no idea. Some of you are hearing us for the first time. You have no idea what this postgame show is like after the game. It's
Towny.
like a bunch of wild animals that I have to herd every single night.
Paging Dr. Emo.
He's the one that gave Dr. Emo his nickname. It's like animals that I have to herd every single night on the A's postgame. Wait till you hear this call-in show. It's crazy. We're talking about everything next right here on A's Cast Live.
Single game tickets are now on sale for the 2025 season. Secure your seats today for opening week against the Chicago Cubs and lots of exciting giveaways, including an A's basketball jersey, a straw hat, and 3 bobbleheads. You'll be nodding yes to our Brent Rooker, Mason Miller, and Lawrence Butler bobbleheads in June and July. More hot ticket homestands as your green and gold take on the Giants, Padres, Yankees, and Mets. Get your tickets at athletics.com/tickets. That's athletics.com/tickets.
New A's starting pitcher Jeffrey Springs outlines the similarities between the young A's and his old team in Tampa Bay.
A lot of similarities in a lot of the ways, in the sense of like young guys, a lot of talented, young players that are establishing themselves or have, established themselves in the last year or two, and really finding, their way, their path, and kind of, making the adjustments. So it's exciting, watching, the guys throw, the guys hit, and then, like you said, competing against them the last couple of years. The talent, it's exciting, when you kind of have younger guys that are hungry and eager to play. Those can be dangerous teams. So I'm excited to be a part of it.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/AceCast.
The time is now. Pitchers and catchers have officially reported to Arizona. Grab your sunglasses, A's gear, and get ready for some fun in the sun as the Athletics get ready for the 2025 season. Now's the time to make plans to catch us in Mesa, Arizona, and enjoy the sunshine of your family and friends. Grab your tickets early for the best seats at the lowest prices as your green and gold take on the Giants, Padres, Dodgers, Angels, and more at Hohokam Stadium. Don't wait. Get your tickets at athletics.com/spring. That's athletics.com/spring. Athletics DH Brent Rooker joined Towny on A's Cast Live during his extension press conference to discuss becoming the face of the franchise.
It's been a wild ride. It's
crazy.
Yeah, it's happened quick. in a sense. And it feels like for me, in a sense, it's kind of taken a long time, obviously, because it took a little bit later into my career for things like this to start to develop. But it's been crazy. It's been fun. I owe a ton to this organization, the people in it, for giving me the opportunity that I was looking for a while, and I'm grateful I was able to take advantage of it and get to this point.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/AceCast.
The A's.
A's Cast Live continues from the studio. Here's Chris Townsend.
You know, I don't want to say something that is dramatically unpopular, but we may have to get into it with this whole Tampa Bay thing. Because obviously we've lived leaving a city. I've now done it twice. What is that?
I think somebody's calling me on Ring Central, which is what we use to call people. It's George. He told me he called between 12:30 and 1. He's calling at the wrong time, so I can tell George we can't answer right now.
Well, can we have George and then reschedule Bill for 15 minutes, 5 minutes later? I can go quick with George.
Well, Bill's already there. He's waiting in the green room.
So Bill, we've turned Bill into this superstar. He can't wait 5 minutes. Look at this guy. He's become the rock star of rock stars. Hello, Bill. How are you?
Good. How you doing, Mr. Rockstar?
I'm just what I was going to say before George in Tokyo was calling us was, you know, a lot of people are coming out now. They're going to pile on the Rays, and I understand it, and they're going to pile on the owner and everything. But when you look through the history of sports, there's a reason why teams move, and no one really wants to admit that. And like, you could look at the Bay Area alone, and I'll include Sacramento. Sacramento Kings didn't start in Sacramento. The San Francisco Giants didn't start in San Francisco. Everybody, the Dodgers, you think the Dodgers would still be better in Brooklyn than Los Angeles? The Philadelphia Warriors, not the Golden State Warriors in the Bay Area? I mean, I can go on and on and on if you want, where all these teams have come from, right? So it's like teams move. It's just, it sucks for fan bases. Teams move. But if you look through the history, like Houston was a train wreck. So they moved the Oilers to Tennessee, where they're now going to be getting their second beautiful stadium. And it caused Houston to get their act together to then make the Titans. I mean, you can go on and on, right? When you think of the Baltimore Colts, couldn't get it done. They moved to Indianapolis. That worked. Caused Baltimore to get their act together, and now they have the Ravens. But so you just look through history. I mean, I don't know of any lakes in Los Angeles. How did the Lakers get to Los Angeles? Well, because they were in Minnesota, and they realized going to Los. So it's like when you look over time, right? We all react to it right now. Like, I'm going to tell you right now, if I had to put my money on it, yeah, I think the Rays in Orlando is a hell of a lot better than St. Petersburg. I've been to St. Petersburg. It doesn't work there. But you have the baseball media who they're not very good with business. They start making opinions, but I can go through facts and history. I think the Lakers being in Los Angeles than Minnesota worked out, or the Giants in San Francisco versus New York, or the Dodgers instead of Brooklyn being right. I mean, we can look back at that, and it was so long ago, but you realize, well, these moves, a lot of time they work.
Yeah, well, the Tampa Bay situation is particularly interesting because, this is the first time in recent memory where I remember the commissioner sort of pushing for an ownership change somewhat clearly. That's pretty rare. But, you mentioned Orlando. That certainly seems like it could be a logical destination for the Tampa franchise. It's not that far away. And also Orlando is a huge vacation destination. I mean, what if Disney buys into the Tampa Bay ownership and they go to Orlando? I'm sure there's plenty of land that Disney owns in Orlando that they could build a big new stadium for Tampa on. So I certainly wouldn't be surprised if they stayed in state, but perhaps did end up in Orlando. And mentioning those names, you mentioned the LA Lakers and how incongruous that is. One of my favorites was when we had had the Utah Jazz. Probably the last place I would ever go to find jazz would be Utah.
Right.
But somehow it worked out.
Right. I mean, come on. What are we talking about here? Like, I mean, St. Petersburg doesn't. I've been there. It's just, and it's a great little town, and there's a lot of retirees. It just doesn't really. I mean, and it's and the thing too. Not to, and we'll switch off of this, but the reality is these city councils they did vote for it, but in the end they don't really want it. Like these city councils know that we can use this money for something else that's better. It's a really tough because it's tough for the fans because we all get involved, but. Yeah, new ownership. But you really want to keep this team in St. Petersburg, Florida. Everybody knows it'd be better in Tampa anyway, but does it even work in Tampa? And right now, by the way, the team is in Tampa. They're going to be playing at the Yankees facility there. That's their spring training and also for their A-ball team. They can't even sell out these games. You go look at their website right now. You can go get a ticket for opening day. It's in Tampa. Who do you want? You want Yankees, Red Sox, any of the team? I mean, we're sold out in Sacramento. We're sold out. Tampa, they've always said teams got to be in Tampa. Well, they're going to be in Tampa this year, and there's plenty of tickets available. Tickets are available for the Dodgers series, so whatever. All right, Bill, are you excited what you saw in spring training with all of our high-level prospects?
Well, I'm always excited about our prospects, but I'll tell you one thing that particularly excited me. I'm sure you saw the other day that catch that outfielder Denzel Clark made in center field, scaling the center field wall. I've always been excited about Denzel Clark. I know you're friendly with his agent. You hear about him a lot, but that's the kind of thing that Denzel Clark can bring to the game if he makes it to the major leagues. Not only power, not only speed, but the ability to play a really exciting center field. A guy who can track down the ball, who can climb the fence, who can pull it back from over the wall. To have an exciting center fielder who can cover a lot of ground, is really a game changer, particularly if that guy has the power and speed that Denzel Clark does. So I'm really hoping that this year, Denzel Clark's first year at AAA Vegas, presumably, that he's going to be able to put all those amazing tools he has together. And, hopefully by next season, we could see him patrolling center field with the A's. Maybe our friend JJ Bleday moves to left field. But Denzel Clark is an exciting, game-changing talent who could really be a dynamic force in center field. You add a guy like that to your lineup, that changes the whole complexion of things. That kicks this offense to another level.
Nick Kurtz, what do you think?
I think, if you talk to almost any talent evaluator, everybody says there really are no holes in Nick Kurtz's game. I mean, you look at it, he can hit for contact, he can hit for power, he can play first base. I mean, he doesn't strike out, he walks a lot. How many power hitters do you know that don't strike out hardly ever? That's Nick Kurtz. I mean, this guy is a real professional hitter. He looks the part. He does everything you would expect a top prospect to do. So, I think Nick Kurtz, he's again very close. I mean, we'll see what happens. He'll start out the season presumably in Double-A Midland. We assume he'll probably do well there and be up in AAA Vegas at the end of the year. And then he's just a step away from the A's. And again, that's another game-changing talent to have in the heart of the order. Imagine you add Nick Kurtz to this lineup. You add Denzel Clark in center field. Maybe you've got a Colby Thomas or a Henry Bolte on the way too. I mean, that's a real lineup. I mean, the A's lineup is not bad as it looks right now, the way it's coming together. But you add those kinds of talents to this lineup, and you've got a real force to be reckoned with.
All right, Nick Kurtz. All right, are we going to see him in Sacramento? Not as an Aviator, as an A this year.
Well, I think if you do, there's a chance you see him by the end of the season. I think, look, I mean, right now the A's have Tyler Soderstrom locked in at first base. But anything can happen. Maybe Soderstrom has an injury. Nick Kurtz is hitting well at AAA in the second half. Sure, he could be there in a heartbeat. But if everybody's healthy and everyone's playing according to expectations, then I'd assume that maybe you might see Nick Kurtz in September. But he's definitely not far away. I mean, look how quickly Jacob Wilson got there. And to be honest with you, Nick Kurtz is a more professional, more advanced hitter, in my opinion, and many people's opinion, than Jacob Wilson. So, Nick Kurtz is not far away. I mean, imagine, Jacob Wilson's contact ability and combined with Nick Kurtz's power. I mean, that's a truly special hitter. And again, the amazing thing is the guy really doesn't strike out, and you really can't find a hole in Nick Kurtz's game. So as long as he stays healthy, this guy is the real deal. I mean, he could have been the first overall pick, this year, if the order had been a little different. So, this guy is a real talent. I mean, possibly the best pure hitter to come through the A system in a long, long, long time.
How does that not get you excited? The number 4 overall pick out of Wake Forest. We know how advanced Wake Forest, their baseball program is, from hitting lab to pitching lab to everything that they do. Got all the work they do with the Wake Forest Hospital and all their guys trying to keep their guys healthy. It's really a dynamic program. How do you not get super excited? Because we see him at spring training, go, this kid looks ready to go now.
Yeah. I mean, these guys, excuse me, these guys are real advanced hitters. Like you say, some of these college programs, they're really advanced now. I mean, you've got more at your disposal than, AA, AAA teams do in the minor leagues. I mean, they're working with real, advanced stuff there at some of these top college programs. So as I said, a guy like Nick Kurtz doesn't have far to go. I mean, he's been performing at a very high level for the past 3 seasons, and he's performed well consistently throughout college. He wasn't one of these guys that, came around and took a while to figure it out. I mean, he's been an advanced hitter for some time. So yeah, these guys coming out of these top college programs now are much closer to the major leagues than, these guys might have been a few years ago. They're much closer. So, adding a Nick Kurtz, the Jacob Wilson, perhaps a Denzel Clark, maybe a Colby Thomas, a Henry Bolte, I mean, that really turns this A's lineup into quite an offensive force. Of course, the main concern with a lot of these guys, apart from Nick Kurtz and Jacob Wilson, is the strikeouts. A lot of our top hitting prospects, Denzel, Colby Thomas, Henry Bolte, these guys strike out a whole lot, so they're going to have to curb that a bit. But if you remember, Matt Chapman used to strike out a lot in the minor leagues and struck out a fair amount in the major leagues too. And he turned out to be a pretty productive major league hitter. So, a lot of these guys will have some flaw in their game, but they've got a lot going for them in the plus column. So I think there's a lot of guys that are very close to you. That's the other thing. A lot of times your top prospects are way down in the minors. You got a long ways to go to foresee them in the majors. But if you look at these top prospects the A's have now, these guys are all AAA, AA. They're all very close. So it is an exciting time to keep your eye on the A's prospects right now.
Yeah, the reality is Matt Chapman's still striking out, my friend. Last year he had 158 strikeouts in 154 games, and that was a good year for him, by the way.
Sure.
Some of these guys continue to strike out. We have a lot of new listeners. I mean, obviously, we'd like to, talk to we have new stations that we're on, Talk 650 KSTE in Sacramento and 95.5 KWNR FM, the Bull H2 in Vegas. So we have new listeners. I want you to go back over, and because when they hear college, there is hundreds of millions of dollars in the college game. When you look at the television contracts, you look at all the money that's going on in the SEC, the ACC, the Big 10, the Big 12, they are flushed with cash. And that's because of football contracts, obviously basketball with the CBS contract and March Madness. Everybody, these athletic departments have a lot of money. What happens is that you can only have so many locker rooms and so many stuff. So it filters down from football and basketball, and you start looking at these softball stadiums and baseball stadiums and what track has and volleyball, like all the other sports in these major conferences, they have money. So these baseball programs, the money is filtered down from football and basketball. I want you to kind of educate our new listeners like, oh, yeah, these baseball teams, they've got all the high-tech cameras. They've got all the technology. And as you mentioned, they've got all the stuff. You don't have an A-ball, AA, or even AAA. They're far more sophisticated. At one point, college baseball was more sophisticated than Major League Baseball.
Yeah, that's quite true. And by the way, before I address that, I'm so glad that you were on KSTE in Sacramento, my old hometown. So I guarantee you'll have a lot of listeners on 6:50 a.m. there.
We have always said Bill Moriarty puts butts in the seats. We have always said it. He's a ratings getter, baby.
That's right. Me and Mason Miller. Yeah, these college programs these days are flush with cash, and they're able to invest in developing really high-level college players now. I mean, when you talk about all the analytics and analyzing spin rate and analyzing bat speed and, analyzing exit velocity and all this stuff, colleges didn't used to do that. Now they're really involved in analyzing and monitoring all these metrics that go into developing high-level advanced players at the college level. And and their training programs, I mean, these guys have real workout rooms, real trainers, who are really getting these guys in the best shape possible. And to be honest, in the minor leagues, a lot of times you don't have that at that level. These guys are just trying to scrape some macaroni and cheese out of the buffet in the clubhouse. That's the nutrition program. And so the college game is really a lot more advanced than a lot of what you're experiencing in the minor leagues. So you go from a Wake Forest, to A-ball, and it seems like quite a step down, but the major leagues are investing more in the minor leagues now, and they are starting to try to bring up the quality and the levels that the players will experience there. But if you're coming out of a top level college program like Wake Forest, you've had all the advantages that you could possibly have. Just the training and everything you've gone through prepares you so much more for what the game is like at the major league level, that these guys are just so much closer to stepping into that role. And you're seeing that with these guys like, Nick Kurtz, Jacob Wilson. A lot of these guys are just so much closer now when they come out of college. So, and also just the tools available. A lot of these guys, they'll work, at Driveline in the off season. They'll do all these different things in the off season with all these programs that are available to them, so that they make themselves even more ready, regardless of what's been available to them in college. So I think you're going to see a lot of these top level prospects just move much more quickly to the major leagues in the future with everything that's available to them now in the modern age.
Are you saying that in A-ball, a guy looks over at his teammate and says, "Hey, you going to eat the rest of that hot dog?"
Yeah, it's true. I remember a dozen years ago when I started covering the minor leagues, it was not uncommon to find these A-ball teams walking into a fast food drive-through at midnight when they pull into Bakersfield, just trying to find a meal at Del Taco, So, that's not exactly an advanced nutrition program, but again, things are moving forward in the minor leagues. They are investing a little more in training and nutritional programs and these things, but there's still a ways to go to match, some of those top college level programs.
Yeah, not to overdo it, but getting back to Wake Forest. So Wake Forest has a hospital, and they have people that are studying to be orthopedic surgeons. And the people who are studying to be orthopedic surgeons have been helping out with the baseball team, trying to figure out how to prevent Tommy John surgeries. I mean, there's some high-level stuff that goes on, and obviously Nick Kurtz, one of those guys. Henry Bolte. We found out it's Bolte. He told us, but all of his buddies have called him Bolte, so that is good too. So Bolte. Henry Bolte, you just look at the numbers from last year, and we did the interview with him down at spring. I mean, the kid's grown, the body is bigger, he's a man-child. Projections for him going into this year, because he is definitely a part of the future, especially maybe last year or sometime in Sacramento, but definitely in Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely going to start out the season in Midland in the outfield there. One of the exciting, I mean, you've seen him. First of all, he's just a physical specimen,
Yeah.
But one of the most exciting things about Bolte is he's still just 21 years old. I mean, he's already at AA. He looks like a major league player. He's not quite ready yet, but he's still just 21, and he's got the power. He's got the speed. He's got those raw tools. And, sometimes you draft a guy with those raw tools, maybe like an Austin Beck, and it doesn't quite play out, but with Henry Bolte so far, he's delivered, I mean, he's looked like what you wanted him to look like at this part. I mean, when I did A's Farm's top 10 prospect list this season, Henry Bolte is the youngest player on that list, and already he is at AA. He's a step away from AAA. He'll presumably be in AAA by the end of this coming season, still as a very young player. And that's exciting. I love Colby Thomas too, but Colby Thomas is 24. Henry Bolte is just 21, and he's just one step behind Colby Thomas, So Henry Bolte is a guy to get very excited about. He has led the A's minor league system in strikeouts, so those strikeouts can be a bit of an issue. He's going to need to learn to become a little more disciplined at the plate, or big league pitchers can definitely, have a field day if you're willing to swing at anything. But I'll tell you, he can, when he puts the bat on the ball, he can do some damage. And the other thing is Henry Bolte, for a big man, has really tremendous speed too. Again, that's a very exciting combination. You don't see a lot of those power speed combos today in the major leagues. There aren't a lot of Andre Dawsons out there anymore, So if you can combine those two things in the package of a young, strong guy like Henry Bolte, that's an exciting thing. And the fact that the A's have, three promising power hitting guys with speed as outfield prospects right now in Bolte, Colby Thomas, Denzel Clark. You don't need them all to hit. One or two of those guys hits, you're doing pretty good. They've still got JJ Bleday and Lawrence Butler out there, and Lawrence Butler's going to be around for a long time, as you know. So the fact that we've got three real power hitting outfield prospects near the top of the system is pretty exciting.
All right, we have the breakout game today. Some of our top young pitchers. Go through the pitching. What do you like projecting for 2025?
Well, I'll tell you, of course, people talk about Luis Morales. He's, since he's been drafted, he has some of the best raw stuff in the system, high 90s fastball. I mean, he can really bring it. He'll probably be at AA Midland this season. But I think the two minor league pitching prospects that are closest to breaking through into the big league pitching picture are right-handers Jack Perkins and Mason Barnett. You saw a little bit of them this spring. They looked good, very good at times. They both were dominant in AA for Midland last year. And I think those two guys, Jack Perkins and Mason Barnett, are the next guys you're going to start to see in the discussion for the big league rotation. Of course, if there are injuries this coming season, you could see them this season. If not, as long as they're healthy this year, you will see them in the discussion in terms of fighting for a spot in the major league rotation next year. Both these guys can throw in the mid 90s. Both these guys have good sliders or sweepers, and they both know how to pitch. They're both smart, tough competitors, and the A's are excited about those two guys, Jack Perkins and Mason Barnett, who came over from Kansas City in the Lucas Erceg deal, and they think those are the next two guys to really make an impact at the major league level. Of course, Gunnar Hoagland could also put himself in the picture as well. He's a former first-round pick. His velocity had been down since his Tommy John surgery, but this spring in the A's camp, his velocity looked back up again. So if Gunnar Hoagland's fastball can be back where it used to be, this is a former first-round pick with real talent who really knows how to pitch as well, has very good command, had a great season at AA Midland. So Gunnar Hoagland could put himself back in the discussion as well.
What about Cusick?
Cusick, has been moved to the bullpen now. He came over from Atlanta, one of those many deals we made. He was a starting pitcher, had struggled a bit there, but late last season, they moved him into the bullpen in Midland, and he was really strong, really effective out of the bullpen. He's one of those guys, he's got, he's got a couple good pitches at work. He doesn't have a vast repertoire, so his stuff kind of plays up better in the bullpen, and, he can throw harder. He can give it max effort in a relief role. So you'll see Cusick getting plenty of opportunities to pitch in relief at Vegas. And if you could be an effective reliever at that ballpark in Vegas and not get lit up, that means you are definitely ready for the major leagues. So we'll see how Cusick fares in that test this season.
Where are you on two-way players? Before we get to Morii, where are you on? How do you feel? How do you think they should be handled? A guy that you think, yeah, he can hit, yeah, he can pitch. We're going to give him an opportunity to do both.
Yeah, well, I think they're handling Morii in the right way. I mean, first of all, he wants to be a two-way player, and that was sort of part of the allure for him signing with the A's, as they were willing to allow that. And early on in your career, why not? He's young. He let him go out there and try everything. Let him do it. If he can pitch and he can hit, okay, just keep doing it as long as it works. If it looks like one of them's becoming way more advanced than the other one. Okay, well, now it's time to shift. But, let it roll. Why not? I mean, it's a new age. I mean, if you're talented enough, you can do it. But, we don't know at this point. He's so young. Maybe he's going to be a better hitter. Maybe he's going to be a better pitcher. Maybe he can do both. Let's try it out. I mean, Morii is likely to get his start this summer in the Arizona Complex League. So this summer we'll see, how he looks out there. That's a good environment to try things out. You're playing in Arizona in the summer and in the complex leagues. It's easy to kind of experiment with these things and handle these guys delicately. So we'll see how that goes. And, as long as both sides work, let him keep doing it. But, it's always exciting to have a guy who has a chance to succeed in two different ways. That increases your odds anyway, So if you're only good at one thing, you better not fail. So, but Mori's got a couple different ways to get there, and maybe he'll get there both ways.
Well, when you think about these showcase games, it's like putting the carrot in front of these young athletes, right? They're so used to being in. We only have 2 minutes left. Quickly, I think these games are big because I think it puts a carrot in front of these young guys to constantly be like, they're so used to just being buses and bad hotels. This kind of is that carrot to say, boys, keep playing hard because this is what you can have.
Yeah, sure. I mean, whenever you can envision what it is you're aiming for, and it feels a little closer, and you can taste it, that's good motivation. And putting these guys in that spotlight, I think, is good for them. And these days, people are much more interested in prospects than ever before. I mean, when we were kids, you didn't have all this information available on the internet. If you wanted to know about prospects, it was gonna take some effort. Now everybody can follow these guys, and consequently, people are much more interested in seeing these prospects and watching their development, seeing what they're capable of. So showcases like this, I think, are good both for the fans to see what's coming and also for the players to get a taste of that big league spotlight and and just motivate them even more to do what they've got to do to get there on the big stage, because it's a whole lot more fun to be playing on the big stage than to be riding around in buses in the minor leagues. That's for sure.
All right, we look forward to having your podcast on A's Cast throughout the year.
Of course, I'll be bringing you the farm podcast throughout the season on A's Cast, so you can keep track on everything going on down on the farm.
You are the best, and you put butts in the seats. You're from Sacramento. Can't wait.
That's right. Thanks, Towny. Always good talking to you. We'll see you soon.
Be well. Coming up next, we are heading to the land of the rising sun. Are we going to Tokyo, Japan next?
And the future.
Well, it's the future because it's already Saturday there. Next, right here on A's Cast Live.
The time is now. Pitchers and catchers have officially reported to Arizona. Grab your sunglasses, A's gear, and get ready for some fun in the sun as the Athletics get ready for the 2025 season. Now's the time to make plans to catch us in Mesa, Arizona, and enjoy the sunshine of your family and friends. Grab your tickets early for the best seats at the lowest prices as your green and gold take on the Giants, Padres, Dodgers, Angels, and more at Hohokam Stadium. Don't wait. Get your tickets at athletics.com/spring. That's athletics.com/spring. A's right fielder Lawrence Butler joined Chris Townsend on A's Cast Live to talk about him being a symbol of the organization.
I mean, it means a lot because it just shows me how much, they value. And, I love the A's. I love the organization from the ground crew to the trainers. I mean, I just love everything about it. I bleed green and gold. And, for them to just acknowledge me as that and everybody just to keep telling me, keep going, and all the coaches coming back from the minor leagues, I'm seeing them and stuff like that. It means a lot because, shows the hard work that I put in and they put in, with me. So, it means a lot to me.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
The A's YouTube page is your go-to destination for A's video content. Get access to great highlights, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, classic games, A's Cast Live, and more. Visit youtube.com/athletics.
A's lefty J.P. Sears joined Chris Townsend on A's Cast Live in Mesa to discuss his ability to take the ball every 5 days.
I think that's one of the main things you're trying to do as a pitcher is your availability. And it kind of comes with, having a good routine and, sticking to routine and kind of learning, what works for you and what doesn't work for you. So, I've been proud of being able to do that the past couple of years. And, Looking to do that again this year. But, obviously there's always things we want to get better at. And, there's ways I feel like I can help this team out a lot more than I have in the past. And so, I've done a pretty good job, I feel like, of, getting a lot of quantity, a lot of a lot of innings the last couple of years, but just want to sharpen up those outings that, you're talking about. The rough ones are the ones that can go either way. Those are really the big season definers there and team definers.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
Looking to stay up to date on all things A's? Head over to athletics.com/A'sCast. That's athletics.com/A'sCast to listen to A's baseball in full 24/7 coverage of the A's, only on A's Cast. With a single click, you can stream great shows, live pre- and post-game coverage, and of course, all the great action of the A's this season. Head to
A's Cast Live continues from the studio. Here's Chris Townsend.
All right, where are we with George in San Francisco, who's actually in Tokyo?
He's going to call. I told him to call at 12:33, so a few minutes from now.
All right, and
So not too bad.
I'm working on getting Mark Kotsay a car right now. I'm trying to get the right car for Mark Kotsay. I'm dealing with a lot of stuff here, as they said in Bull Durham.
Well, we do have a thing from Bull Durham.
Am I not setting you up?
Okay.
Relax. All right, don't try to strike everybody out. Strikeouts are boring. Besides that, they're fascist. Throw some ground balls. More democratic.
Now, the other day, I referenced that movie line, and I kind of butchered it now that I get to hear it again from Kevin Costner.
Relax. All right, don't try to strike everybody out. Strikeouts are boring. Besides that, they're fascist. Throw some ground balls. More democratic.
Yes. Can we, you know what? You know how we put the gambling thing up in the clubhouse? In every single clubhouse?
Yeah.
Can we put that line up in every single clubhouse in baseball?
I mean, it wouldn't be bad.
Ground balls, more democratic. Strikeouts are fascist. Relax. Throw strikes. Stop trying to strike everybody out. A, you're walking too many people. B, you're going to give yourself Tommy John surgery. Let's lighten up a little bit. Let's throw some strikes and utilize our defense. And maybe you'll go deeper in games. And we don't have to go to the bullpen to rescue you in the fifth inning and have to cover 4.5 innings every single game with our bullpen. How about that?
Sounds like a good idea.
Sounds like a good idea, doesn't it? God, all these...
Relax. All right, don't try to strike everybody out.
Thank you, Crash.
Strikeouts are boring. Besides that, they're fascist. Throw some ground balls. More democratic.
Thank you. One of the great baseball movies of all time because it had humor. It was funny. I think I was in high school when that came out. And then after that, Major League. Because like The Natural was a little more serious with Robert Redford. I mean, that movie, I loved Bull Durham.
Bull Durham was 1988
or 89, I want to say.
Or
90. I was in high school.
88, because I think Major League was 1989. Yeah, 89.
You put snot on the ball. They both were phenomenal.
As we wait for George from San Francisco.
Towny.
Who's in Japan.
He's in Japan.
Oh, there he is.
It's a big deal. Here he is.
Wait, hold on. I clicked answer, and it's connecting.
It's connecting.
All right, we'll see.
We're going to the future. It's Saturday in Tokyo, Japan. George, can you hear me?
Towny, Ohio gozaimasu from Japan.
Konnichiwa, my friend.
Konnichiwa. It is early in the morning, and I'm listening to A's Cast Live, and you're giving everyone excellent global baseball content. I love it.
You know, that's a great way to put it. Global baseball content. That's what we have all the listeners that we have in Australia. We are worldwide. We can talk to anybody. As you know, it's a big deal, this series. You are there. Tell us what it's like. Our boots on the ground in Tokyo, having all of these Japanese homegrown players coming back home to play Major League Baseball at the Tokyo Dome.
Yes, and A's Cast Live has boots on the ground. I'm in Japan right now, and the Japanese media blitz is completely Ohtani media. It is very exciting at Haneda Airport. People are lined up on the viewing dock to see his plane arrive. It's almost like the Beatles are coming into Japan right now.
Oh, I can't even imagine, because I remember what it was like with Ichiro, and now you're bringing Sasaki, you're bringing Yamamoto, you're bringing Imanyaga, Suzuki. I mean, this has got to be like one of the coolest things ever in the history of sports for Japan, right?
It's a great international baseball event. I hope people in the U.S. are catching on to it, but I know the games are going to be played early in the morning, but it's awesome out here. On the TV, announcers, just regular TV announcers wearing Ohtani jerseys. It's very exciting.
How hard is it going to be to get into the Tokyo Dome for these two games?
I'm going to need $2,000 to get in.
It's
pricey.
It's $2,000?
Yeah, on a lot of the sites, the ticket price has gone bonkers. It's very expensive. But today, I will be seeing the Chicago Cubs versus the Hanshin Tigers of Osaka, and that's going to be a very fun game itself.
What does this mean for you as someone that spends a lot of time in Japan? You follow Japanese baseball. You love Japanese baseball. What does an event like this mean to you?
For me, I love it because it's a sense of, the United States and Japan coming together, mixing together, and linking up together, which is needed. And you could see Japanese players coming into the United States system. Also, the Japanese teams in the NPB, they're watching American players very closely. There's all kinds of books on scouting on American players, and it's a very, very fun event to see the mixing and coming together of MLB and NPB teams.
Well, and to me, what was fascinating the two times that I've been there is to watch the Japanese teams, the way they prepare, the way they work out, their batting practice. They have 2 cages, balls are flying everywhere. I mean, it's so organized. As someone who gets to watch both, just explain how the way Japanese teams prepare for games is far different than the American teams.
Yeah, because I think American baseball is more like loosey-goosey style, not trying to put too much pressure on people, just let people do their thing. But in Japan, there's a lot of behind-the-scenes pressure and a lot of deep concentration, and your ability to accurately attack certain positions, attack certain spots, and to come through at certain moments. And it's a little bit different kind of thinking, but it's good that they're both coming together, mixing together. But honestly, I really wish the A's were here today. I really wish the A's were in Japan for this series. I was praying for it for the past 2 years. I wish you and Cody were over here. That would have been awesome.
Oh, the next time I've been twice. I'd love to go again. The experience to go to Tokyo, it's life-changing. I mean, to be able to do the trips and to go around the city and then to watch the love for baseball. I try to explain to people, George, it's like a college football game. These Japanese teams, they've got bands in the outfield. Each player comes up to bat. They've got their own songs. There's the chants. There's the thunder sticks. I mean, it is rowdy at a Japanese baseball game.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And also, Towny, we need the captain of the Wild Safari cruise ship to come out to Japan. And so we need Captain Capital City Chris to be in Japan with the A's. I wish it would happen. I wish the A's would sign other current roster Japanese players. That would be nice because I am doing some Pacific Rim scouting for you guys. I'll give you some information later. But I'm very happy that the A's, they went out on a limb and they signed the young Shotaro Morii. And we'll see what he can do. But Towny, you did say something really interesting. You mentioned a very special name, and that is the Big Chief Mark Kotsay, because I hope those two sit down and have a conversation, and he can mentor him a little bit.
Well, what we need is we need to get you and David Force in the same room, so David Force realizes he needs you on his staff to be a part of the Pacific Rim staff.
Hey, you have me, Towny. I'm part of this A's Cast Live crew. you can always let me know. I'll give information to David Force if he needs it. There's names and there's other players I'm going to be looking at outside of the Tokyo Dome series. There's guys out there. There's hidden gems out there, and I really hope the A's get them in the next 2 years.
Let's be honest. The number one thing you need to do is spread the A's Cast word in the land of the rising sun.
It is spreading little by little. It is spreading. The more fun stuff we have, it is spreading. The more David Forrest starts reaching and grabbing Japanese players, it is definitely spreading.
Why is Japan called the land of the rising sun?
I think it's probably geographical, that where the sun rises, and it comes from the eastern side and kind of goes around in the world. So it's the origin of the sun.
There you go. That's it. So you learn something. I mean, that's what you did. George comes on. Has anybody asked where Dr. Emo is while you've been over there?
Oh, not yet. Because that's the thing we need with Dr. Emo is, he's going to have his handful with a two-way player like Shotaro Morii. And it'll be interesting. Hopefully Mark Kotsay can talk to Shotaro Morii, but I hope Mark Kotsay, shakes his hand, sits down with Morii and says, 190 hits, baby. We need 190 hits. But it'll be even more interesting if JJ Bleday steps in, a.k.a. I call him now Double J. We also need 43 doubles. 43 doubles. I hope he learns how to hit really well as a two-way player. And, we also need Ambassador Dr. Smoke to have to teach him the 2 sequence forkballs. And that'll be perfect for paging Dr. Emo. Paging Dr. Emo from Japan, Towny. We need to bring Dr. Emo over with the Kotsay and the crew to play in the Tokyo series in the near future. I hope it happens.
Do you realize you're going to be showcasing your talents on 650 KSTE in Sacramento and also on 95.5 KWNR, The Bowl in Vegas? These fan bases have no idea what they're getting into.
Towny, you and Cody are providing great A's Cast Live global international baseball content. They need to come to the stage. They need to listen. If they want to know about global content, A's Cast Live is where they need to be listening to.
All right, my friend, you be safe. Enjoy these games, and we'll talk to you when you get back.
Johnny, have a good one. Take care.
The great George in San Francisco calling from Tokyo, Japan, our Pacific Rim scout here on A's Cast Live. And one of the craziest callers you're going to hear after the games. Yeah, that's kind of what you're going to. And some of the callers are already jealous, like, well, why are you having him on? Why don't you have me on? I mean, these callers we've created these personalities. Their egos are out of control.
Paging Dr. Emo.
Yeah. This is still the best one.
Johnny.
He did mention my new nickname, Capital City Chris.
Triple C. As soon as he said,
do people in Sacramento know I've changed my nickname to?
I think you've mentioned it once or twice, but
well, our Kings last night had a tough time last night. You, Mr. Warrior, Steph Curry.
Oh yeah, hey, happy birthday, Steph Curry.
Steph Curry, he's 37 years old.
Yeah, 4,000 threes. It is 4,003 last night.
I saw that last night that he's 37. I mean, you got to admit, even I know a lot of people in Sacramento can't stand the Warriors now, and I totally understand. But can't we all agree? Hearing that Steph Curry is 37 years old made you feel old. You remember him getting drafted. You remember watching him play in the tournament with Davidson, and you didn't even know where the hell Davidson was. And all of a sudden, Steph Curry, you remember his dad, Dell, obviously, but, well, you probably don't even. Do you ever see Dell play?
That tail end of his career. When he was a Raptor, not as a Hornet.
Steph Curry's 37 years old. That's crazy.
He's 8 months older than I am.
Wow. I mean, it wasn't like long ago. He had bad ankles and weren't sure he was going to be able to play in the league.
Now he's, like I said, he's at 4,000 something. He hit his 4,003 last night, which is incredible.
Draymond Green led the team in scoring for the first time since 2016. It was some kind of crazy stat.
Game 7 of the 2016 NBA Finals.
I had 2016 right.
It was, it was insane. It's been 9.
So you can't say it was Draymond Green's fault last night.
No, it was not. So yeah,
but I'm with you, Sacramento. It pained me. I didn't like seeing it. When can I light the beam?
That we still haven't got there yet.
Yeah. Are my Kings going to make the playoffs this year?
I think they're in the play-in game right now, and we'll
talk
see.
about baseball doesn't want to change. NBA's got an in-season tournament. NBA's got a play-in series. I mean, it's crazy. Like, the NBA gets it. Hey, we got to make change. And we got to change things up. Baseball, very afraid to make change.
Kings are 9th right now, so they are in the play-in game.
Who are the Mavs are down there too, right?
Mavs are 10th, yeah. And then you have the Suns who are paying all that money. They're 30 and 36.
So Mark Cuban sells the majority of the franchise to the Adelson family in Vegas because gaming's coming to Texas. But yet Mark Cuban still has complete control over the roster, correct?
Yeah, apparently. But then again, they traded away Luka Doncic and
that's say if he's got control and you're 10th, that's not working out so hot.
No, it's not great. So yeah, the Kings in the play-in game right now. They would.
So it goes what? Suns are what?
Suns are the 11.
And Mavs are 10.
10. Kings are 9. So I think the way the NBA play-in tournament works, I think 7 plays 10 and 8 plays 9. So it'd be Kings. I think if it ends, it'd be Kings Clippers. Nate, am I right? You're an NBA guy.
Crickets.
Oh. See, when we need you, you're not there.
Nate's never there when we need him. Where are the Warriors?
Warriors are 6th right now. They're 38 and 28. They're like they're 3 games behind the Rockets.
So they're middle. Oh, you got it up. They're middle in the pack.
Yeah, they've won 6 in a row. Then Minnesota's right behind them. They've won 6 in a row also.
We still got a long way to go, right?
Yeah. We're at 30. We're at 60. Was that 64 games? So they got about 18 games left.
What was my last year doing Warriors pre-post? Is that 18?
18. So they won a championship that year.
I've kind of been out of the NBA since 2018. The minute I got, it's a long story how I got put back on war. I did the last 2 Warriors championships at Oracle. It's a long story how I got roped into that. It's actually one of the best stories. Do you remember that story? How I got called in? I was doing A's and Raiders, and oh god, like you want me to do Warriors too? Are you kidding me? But I've been out of the NBA since 2018.
Well,
but I'm back in with the Kings.
Yeah, the Kings. Well, we might have a playoff run, so we'll see.
I'm back in with our partnership with the Kings. I always go back. I'm a Rick Adelman Kings. Mike Bibby.
Peja, Brad Miller.
Peja's son, Andre, played well for the Cal Bears in the ACC tournament.
Gerald Wallace.
At a Carmichael, Peja, Andre Stojakovic.
Hell, one of the guys that played on the team's a coach, Doug Christie.
I know. I forgot that what's his name got fired. The Warriors assistant.
Mike Brown.
Out of Mike Brown?
Cleveland Cavaliers.
University of San Diego is one of that pipeline of that USD. But yeah, Brown got fired. I forgot. I was watching.
He was a coach of the year like 2 years ago.
I was watching. God, what was I watching? All of a sudden, I guess I was watching a Kings game, and I'm like, Christie's the coach. How'd that happen? That's right. What's the name?
They played a lot better under him, but yeah. By the way, Mason Miller, 7 minutes if you want to squeeze him in.
How's my guy C-Web doing? He's still doing NBA TV, right, for TNT?
I think so. I think he's still calling games. He was used to call games with Harlan, but now a lot of it's Reggie Miller. Oh, I think he's still. I haven't. That's how poor my NBA broadcasting.
Vlade's still around, right?
Yeah, I see him at games like a bit. He used to be the GM, but he's not anymore. That's Monty McNair.
Bobby Jackson.
Don't know what he's doing.
I'm just naming off old Kings.
Gerald Wallace. Hito Turkoglu.
Hey, I gave you my first ever NBA game in the Bay Area, Warriors Kings. I gave you Rambus Spud Webb as Kings, and I do want to say, remember, didn't they used to wear that royal blue?
They did, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Was Reggie Theus on that team?
I'd have to look. You're going a little
UNLV great.
You're going a little far back from.
All righty, Mason Miller, all-star closer. You're going to hear him a lot. He's a good friend of this program. We love having him on A's Cast Live. Here was some people believe he's the second best closer in baseball now. And who knows, maybe this year he takes the mantle as number 1. Here is our spring training conversation with the big right-hander. With us here from spring training, A's Cast Live. I think we always have cool spots where we interview you. Last year, I think the most fun interview was when we had you from Fenway Park. You were on top of the Green Monster.
forget
Right?
about that.
Remember
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
That was pretty cool.
was
Like
cool.
thinking back. How are you?
I'm great. Enjoyed a good off season, and as always, excited to be back here.
I think about for you what a journey was last year, because obviously you had a lot of success, but the number one thing was that you stayed healthy for a season. What was that like for you, knowing that, I can grip it and rip it and stay healthy?
Yeah, I knew it was in there. It was just a matter of going out and doing it. Just a culmination of things really in 22 and 23, and being able to kind of wipe that slate clean. And even if I was starting, I would have never been able to get to a full starter's workload. So just making that transition, buying into the thinking of David and Cox, and we had conversations far ahead of time. So just coming into the season, we were all on the same page, having a plan, and went out and executed it.
So now you can tell us, because you couldn't tell us back then. Can you now say, closing? I'm not going to close. I'm going to start. Was there ever that you guys are crazy? Because now you're an all-star. Everything's great. Was there ever that time going, this isn't going to work?
Well, it wasn't you're going to close. It was we were going to the bullpen.
Yeah.
So I think that was honestly better for me because I was able to set my sights on wanting to close games, kind of work for that, earn that, and then go out and have the season that I had last year. So yeah, I think it worked out, and I'm loving the role and excited to do it again this year.
The one thing you always like to talk about with people who are in this role, it's the juice. Right. What we do with the closer, it's the music, it's the drama, it's the finality of the final 3 outs. So I don't think you really ever got to experience that. What's that like now when you're coming in and the music's playing and some ballparks there's fireworks going on? I mean, what's that like for you?
It's exciting. That's the time of game. Everything that's went into it is building to that point. And usually when I'm in there, it's an opportunity for us to win.
Yeah.
So just pitching with that energy, pitching with that mentality that I just got to get 3 outs. It doesn't have to be pretty. I want it to be pretty, but it doesn't have to be. It's just just get 3 outs, hold the lead, get the guys in the locker room, and celebrate a win. So I love it, and I feel like I just embrace it and take the role for what it is.
Mason Miller with us here on A's Cast Live. Take us back to New York. You're going up against the Yankees. You're in there. We know the names that you're going up against. Your adrenaline, you could just tell. The adrenaline was pumping. We saw the radar gun. Did you reflect on that moment at all this past offseason? Like, wow, that was incredible.
Yeah, man, it's a long season. So I feel like I've reflected on that moment, and then we had the All-Star game, and I reflected on that moment. And we had a lot of other, cool outings and cool places, new cities, new ballparks. So really last year was a complete whirlwind, I think. And just being able to reflect back on the year, I take a small amount of time and reflect on my successes, and I spend more time on my failures because I feel like I can learn more from that and, and make improvements to my game for the following season. So I honestly found myself thinking more about, some of the homers I gave up than some of the great saves.
It's a reality. The great ones, a lot of the great ones will tell you that's what they remember. They remember being angry. It's not about winning a Super Bowl or the championship, or like a lot of the great golfers don't talk about the majors. They talk about the ones they lost. So that's something that happens a lot in sports. We talked to Scott Emerson the day Mark Kotsay. I want to get into Mark Kotsay's contract with you, but because I think the commitment, what we're talking about with the future long term, but Scott Emerson says you're working on a changeup again. Now, obviously, you had a lot of different pitches as a starter. Circle change, kind of take us through pitch development, what you've been working on and you're bringing into this year.
Yeah, really, it's the same as I was throwing when I was a starter, just kind of refining it a little bit more and focusing on how I'm getting the ball to spin and how it's coming off. I'm not a guy that really turns it over. I'm not like a Devin Williams, obviously.
Yeah.
That can get the ball to
spin. Like throwing a football.
To get the ball to spin like that. So for me, it's just orienting it similar to a sinker and letting the seams work the ball down away from a lefty into a righty. But I think it's a weapon that maybe I don't necessarily use much, but I plan to use it more than I think 5% of the time like I did last year.
How important is it to just showcase something so they know you got it?
I think you got to get it to 10% before they even start thinking about it. And even at that point, if guys got 3 really good pitches and the game's on the line, you almost are eliminating one just to give yourself a better chance, I think. I could be wrong. I don't hit, so I don't know their approach entirely, but I feel like if I really want them to be thinking about the changeup, I got to throw it 3 times as much as I did at the end of last year. So we'll see. I just want to have something in my back pocket that, given the switch to Sacramento, maybe I want guys a little bit more out in front than timing up a heater or sitting on a slider, just something else to keep them off balance and make sure that I keep my numbers where I want them to be.
Let's end on this. For this young core, and like Shea Langoliers was just down here, and you start thinking about Geloff and Blade and Law and yourself and this young core that's kind of come together. You want to know there's a future here, right? You want to know because you guys are A's, and you've come through the system, and it means a lot to you, and these coaches mean a lot to you. Well, when you found out, when the owner comes in, John Fisher, and tells you guys that Mark Kotsay has not only signed an extension, it's the longest contract of any manager in baseball. What did that mean to you guys?
I mean, we're just ecstatic for Kotz because, he deserves it. And not only does he deserve it, he wants it. He wants nothing more than, he's said it for several years through the struggles, through the transition, continued transition, just that he wants to see it through. He's a loyal guy. He's a man of integrity. And I'm always extremely lucky to have him as the skip, and I think a lot of guys feel that way. He just brings so much to this group, from his playing career and everything that he's learning continually each day. So we just love playing for him.
I'll tell you what, really excited about year 2 of your journey and watching you continue to do what you do, and it's so happy for you that you're healthy and you're happy and life is really good. So
appreciate it, Towny.
Keep doing it, and we'll talk to you throughout the season.
Sounds good.
Mason Miller. I can't wait to later this year get into with him and Scott Emerson, and it's about natural velocity versus trying to manufacture the extra velocity with the plyo balls and everything. Mason Miller, though, is a special talent, and to watch him grow, and he's a great guy. I mean, that's the other thing, too. That's something that, and I know it's about winning baseball games. Yes, we're going to do more of that this year, but it's a really, really good group. It's a good group of people. You don't always have that. You never know what you're going to get inside that clubhouse. But in this clubhouse, it's a really good group of guys. And hopefully they win a lot of games this year. They're going to have the ability. By the way, on Monday, remind me how the media, somebody's saying that this ballpark in West Sacramento is a pitcher's park. You're like, what? The national media has no clue.
Yeah,
no clue.
No clue. Yeah.
No clue. We got Halos and A's, these two hated rivals.
Yeah, that's correct. And then 2:40, the spring breakout game, if you want to check it out. So
A's baseball next. We'll see you on Monday at 11 a.m. Everybody, you have a wonderful weekend.
Single game tickets are now on sale for the 2025 season. Secure your seats today for opening week against the Chicago Cubs and lots of exciting giveaways, including an A's basketball jersey, a straw hat, and free bobbleheads. You'll be nodding yes to our Brent Rooker, Mason Miller, and Lawrence Butler bobbleheads in June and July. More hot ticket homestands as your green and gold take on the Giants, Padres, Yankees, and Mets. Get your tickets at athletics.com/tickets. That's athletics.com/tickets.
This has been a presentation of The Athletics.